Hey guys, this is Ultimate Strike, and welcome to Chao News Network, your place for the information and news on speed battle. Today with me, I have Typho and Stereo here with me.
What's going on, you guys? This is Stereo here, the quote-unquote #1 big player, as most people so eloquently put. How are you guys doing? It's nice to meet you guys. We also have Typho here too. Typho, want to give an introduction?
I'm really good at games.
Well, anywho, for the most part, today, the music has been brought to you by Rainwave.cc, your place for video game music. It's a radio, and it's free. Anyway, so what we're going to talk about today is going to be Zazz. He's been one of the new characters that's been around for a little bit now, and I have to say he's had his run of things ever since they gave out the 80 cards for the money. So, what do you guys think on his first impressions?
Well,
I mean,
first,
yeah, sorry, go on.
oh, my bad. I'll let you go first.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
Okay, first impressions of the character in general, I thought it was quite interesting. Although the boost kind of turned me away a bit since it was a magnetic boost. Granted, it's a really, really good boost. But what really, really caught my attention was the stars and its placement. And there's just some really, really interesting things that I noted on it, and I'm pretty sure everyone else noticed on it. But of course, first impressions overall, I like the model. Like, the character running model is amazing, especially when he's boosting. He's a pretty fun character. It's sad to say though, when he first barely came out, since he's a super rare, not very many people will have a high level on him, so not very many will kind of want to play him just because of all the other higher levels that are out there from the comments and the rares. But as soon as that bundle came out,
anyway,
but yeah, of course, since that, no, you're good. Thank you for following Pony of War. But yeah, since that bundle came out, I've seen a lot of level 9 players with Zazz, and I've been seeing a lot of people starting to use it more, especially after our previous season. I've been seeing a lot of new players coming in with it, especially since he got that buff recently.
So, regarding that buff, and see, the moment he was released, he actually has gone from, I believe, he has gone from 894 in his stat distribution to 995. So that is actually a 23-point distribution. And given his kit, it makes sense. Because, one, Motobug isn't too powerful a projectile, but it gets rid of an item. Secondly, Electro Boost is not the best boost in the game. And also, thank you for following that one crazy. The only real thing he has going for him is that freaking star boost, because it's basically a mini boost and a mine. And we also have to take into account the fact that I've tried to jump over these mines, and I can't get over them. It's like they have some kind of vertical hitbox.
Now, the funny thing is about those stars, and it's funny, there are ways to jump over them, but it also does depend entirely on the player placing the stars. If you notice that if Zazz is in the air while he deploys that star, depending on your timing, you can actually deploy a star while it's floating in midair, meaning you won't be able to jump over it, and you also won't be able to duck.
Yeah, it's one of those Zazz techs that can screw with other players on maps that have what do you call them, conveyor belts?
Or triple boost pads, especially if the player is in first place and they're ahead. It can provide a very, very annoying kind of
It's somewhat the same place as how Jet is, except with his lines. Because Jet uses his projectile spam to keep him in first because of the trail. The mines here, they actually have decent damage compared to other mines. And not to mention they spread across the whole path. That's actually pretty crazy.
Well, you definitely don't want to be behind his Zazz anyway. That's sort of that's pretty much all you can really say about it. Aside from that, like, the Motobug's pretty mediocre because, like, it's pretty hard to land, like, and Yeah. Whenever people level him up, they'll probably use him more. But until then.
I want to think he gets scary at level 10. In all honesty.
Oh yeah, I agree, because that's when you can get the next upgrade where you
Yeah.
can drop
By the
up
time
to
he gets his
6
level
stars.
level 2 star upgrade, will make him scary. And if he gets to level 16, he's very scary.
Yeah, he'll be able to drop 7 stars in total if he reaches the max level, which is 16.
And not to mention his boost lasts longer per mine. So it's a unique way of allowing him to boost, but if he ever gets behind, I feel like Electro Boost isn't going to help him too much. He has to rely on Motobug.
Yeah, until Electro Boost gets some kind of treatment, he's pretty stuck.
Yeah, it sucks. As for balance changes this time around, we actually haven't had any balance changes aside from Zazz, surprisingly. So this is somewhat. It's how do I put it?
I guess you could say it's unfortunate for a specific character that we all know and love, and his name is Silver.
Oh, yep. He's getting it pretty bad.
Also, as for Zazz, I decided to make a little difficulty ranking for them. For all the characters, it's going to be a range from 1 to 5 stars. So, considering Zazz's kit is pretty simple, the mines are basically auto, I have to say that I give him around 2.5 stars for that in terms of difficulty to master.
Yeah, I'd probably give him like a 3.5 because despite the stars being automatic, as you said, but like you still have to. It still requires like the player to be in particular places for it to work efficiently. Like so, he's still a pretty tough character to use, and considering his level, that majority of people have him at.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
His difficulty is probably around 3.5.
My rating for me would probably just be a solid 3. I kind of want to put him in the middle just because it does depend on how the player uses projectile, knowing where to place them, whether or not you're in a certain boost or if you're in a certain position that prevents you from kind of seeing what's ahead of the other player towards the corkscrews or towards the other lanes. So I want to give him like mid difficulty because it's not too difficult to master and to get, but it is kind of difficult if you want to know where a player is going to be. Whereas if you go in opposite places where most players won't go in a certain lane, so
yeah,
I will give it that.
That's mainly with memorizing a track and getting used to it, which is some players should learn because some of these tracks have been pretty tricky. But we're getting reverse tracks soon, and that'll be interesting to look at how they fix
that'll definitely be pretty good.
Yeah, definitely. I can't wait to see that.
Oh yeah. Anyway, on to our next topic. Let's talk about Season 4 and look at balance here. Because this may be a topic that may be a bit... What's the word for it?
Mundane.
Yeah, it might be. But, like, our balance from Season 1 all to Season 4 has been a bit weird. Because if you look at the stats and how they've shaken them up, everything has gone a bit more towards speed. Well, not a bit more. It's been speed meta because in Season 1 we had Sonic on top because he had 10 speed and he had good acceleration. Season 2 they nerfed that to 5, but then we ran into this problem. So, I take it you guys have an idea on what I'm talking about here?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Chaos.
Yep.
Yeah,
I mean, the update for the game for the season hasn't exactly came out yet, so
true.
We still don't know if there will be any further balancing because, a lot of things do still require fixing, but,
Right.
they can be addressed later.
I mean, this is mainly off of the news that we have recently on the Speed Battle app, and that's only been Zazz. And usually they tell us what they're changing, but not exactly what. with Chaos with a stat of 10 speed, 9 strength, and 5 acceleration right now, it's a bit nuts because he already has a broken projectile, which is Ice Wave.
Wait, who's this?
This is Ultimate Strike.
No, character-wise, who you like?
This is Chaos. We're talking about Chaos right now. Ice Wave is pretty broke right now because, for one, it's a very fast projectile, almost akin to Fireball. It freezes for, I want to estimate 7 seconds, which is pretty long.
8.5.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal.
Yeah, 8.5.
Yeah, it's 8.5 seconds.
Is that max?
It increases based on an interval of half a second per upgrade, and it's something that's kind of annoying. But it was one thing that I did notice. I did test myself getting hit from something without being able to switch a lane, and it does last a while. I will definitely admit that. So one thing that is very powerful about that move especially is that, one, since it's so instant, you can't really tell whether or not if you're ahead of the other player and they're using that projectile when it's going to pop out, since there's really little to no sound. There's really no sound warning on it. And if you play Sonic Forces Speed Battle, everyone will know that if you play with headphones or earphones on, you can actually hear faintly where the projectile is going to be when you're on a specific lane. Whereas if you play it without headsets or without earphones or with just a speaker, you won't tell where things are going to go. Now, with that move, kind of are screwed regardless, unless you are switching lanes periodically, since the projectile is pretty easy to perfect dodge if you switch at just the right amount of time, or if you jump, or if you just know whether or not someone's going to use it right before you hit anything that's blocking you, any kind of obstacle that's in front of you, which makes you lose about a total of 20 rings.
Yeah.
But that's just one thing that I did notice about it.
It's like, I've experienced it myself, and the freeze duration on Ice Mines is just the right amount of freeze duration.
Oh, I agree. There's no need to change it.
Right.
What's really cool about getting hit by Ice Mines is that if you jump just before you get hit by it, and you have to be slightly in the air for it, it's not like the very second, but when you do, you can actually still move around while you're still getting in that frozen animation. Even though on your screen it'll appear as you're running normal, but you'll be running with either half to a D acceleration level of speed.
You will lose your max speed for sure, since you're getting hit by a mine. But in general, it's not that big of a loss if you do that. But it's somewhat of a thing that I don't like, because that actually reduces the power of certain characters, like Sonic, for instance. He relies on that freeze to get the fireball set up every time. Same with Amy.
Yeah.
Especially with her lightning.
Yeah.
That'll work.
Another character that I think might have been overtuned in Season 2 is Cream. Because let's look at our moves.
Hey, what's wrong with Cream?
There's definitely something wrong with Cream. Because her speed was not this. Her speed was not this high before.
Oh yeah, it got a massive buff.
Yeah.
From what I noticed from the beginning.
I don't think the buff was needed, because having 10 speed, 9 acceleration, and 4 strength, that's easily SR territory right there with a max level Cream. Because look at her kit. She's got a return projectile that can actually screw people behind her and in front of her. She's got Bunny Boost, which is very fast. You can just spam the crap out of it if you know how to use it. And her freaking Chao NATO completely stops your acceleration and actually gives her a small boost.
And the funny thing is about Chao NATO is that if you hit someone with the Chao NATO, they're still susceptible to another attack, meaning someone gets hit by a Chao NATO and gets hit right by a fireball, they're gonna take,
Yeah.
they're gonna lose a lot of speed for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't get
Yeah.
invincibility frames in it.
Yeah, and despite Chao being a projectile that will actually affect a player's speed, it does not damage the player.
It's technically a
Yeah.
mine
Yeah.
akin to it's an auto mine akin to lava bomb. It just doesn't do damage.
Yeah, you won't lose rings, but you will lose speed.
Yeah, it's if anything. Does anybody have cream at level 16? Because
No, I don't think so. Well, as far as I'm concerned, anyway, I know a lot of people have her at level 15 and 14, and they've had a few comments about it, but like,
a level 16 cream, I want to think is a nightmare.
yeah, level 3 tornado would be pretty killer.
Level
You're
3
basically
Chao would be a total of I think it's about a 1 full second of speed, and that's as if
Yeah.
you get a slightly faster dash pad.
It's like getting a dash
Most
pad,
part.
and I
Pretty
think
much,
it's
yeah.
kind of broken on that part per skill. I mean, she doesn't have great defensive options, but hey, the Chao attack is good.
Yeah. Well, the Chao attack's pretty hard to land unless you're like really good at predicting like players where they're moving, or if you're in the lead, you have to sort of know where people are majority of the time, and that's pretty hard to identify at the moment in the
Yeah.
game. But like the bunny boost as well, with like majority of tracks having grind rails, it's really tough to actually execute the bunny boost like to its full potential because the animation's pretty weird. There's like a little bug with Cream where if you come off grind rails with her using bunny boost, she still slides in lanes as if she was on rails on land, and it's pretty tough to actually use it. You'll hit something.
And along those lines, I guess I agree with what Satch is saying here with her defensive game not being as strong. But I mean,
Yeah, Cream is pure offense, so
yeah, she just dominates through pure oppression with freaking Chao.
yeah, Chaos are pretty damn good.
Now let's talk about underbucket characters real fast in terms of balance.
Sure.
So you're gonna
The
hate me
elephant
for
in the
this. Silver.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Why is he
Silver
the
got
devil's
the
number?
worst.
Well,
Why does he just have low stats in general? I mean, if
I
Big
don't
the
get
cat
it.
is faster than Silver, and he doesn't need to be max level or max rings to. Catch
That
up to him.
one crazy. The Star Trail gives a small abab boost. It's kind of minuscule.
I don't think it does. From as far as I'm concerned, whenever I use Zazz,
It
the
doesn't.
Star Trail does it just
doesn't.
increases your POV.
Yeah, that's all it does.
Oh, okay.
There's no boost involved in it. It's kind of a slight misconception.
Yeah.
You get the same. You kind of get the same thing when you get an invincibility boost from invincible characters, but of course that one does boost slightly.
So it just
doesn't-
increases
it-
your
it
increases
increases
your field
your-
of vision.
Yeah, kind of like a banana in Mario Kart. where you
Alright.
kind of get that increase in vision,
Yeah.
just so you can kind of see where the player may or may not be if they're right behind you.
Yeah, and also the reason why any character or any player that's using Zazz, when they use the Star Trail and their name goes red, the reason for that is because you are able to actually stop the Star Trail if you hit them with a fireball or any obstacle. That just stops the Star Trail immediately. So
Yeah.
fun
If,
fact
if
for
he
y'all.
gets hit with anything during the mine, he's done. You can't drop it.
Yeah, pretty much.
But yeah. Anyway, back to our topic about Silver. His kit, I can see as good because he's got a freaking tornado. He's got wind traps, which are amazing. And he's got illusion boost. Now, the update to illusion boost definitely did help it because it is fast. But stat-wise, we've seen a lot of nerfs for him. Hold on a second. I think Discord screwed up again. 1 second. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. Discord decided to screw up again.
Is it all Gino?
Yeah, it's all good now. But yeah, back to what I was saying about Silver. Let's look at his stat distribution real fast. So originally, 786. Good stat distribution for a common. Definitely is good. Then changed to 676. I'm not sure if he needed the speed nerf and the Excel nerf. Could have done with the Excel nerf somewhat, but he didn't need the speed nerf. And then they just went ahead and memed it down to 666.
Yeah, it's kind of sad.
Silver's not that oppressive, and he's super reliant on just Tornado to get ahead.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, because of that, you're going to see a lot more Charmy players now just because of it, despite the wind boost getting a nerf too ever since they introduced Jet. And I kind of find it funny that they right before they even announced Jet as a character, they nerfed the wind boost because I'm assuming because of how he originally was when he first came out, when he was pre-patched, and there were no nerfs according to his projectile, just because of one, how long it lasted, how slow its original speed was, and just how unbelievably difficult it was to get over the projectile when it first came out. That was definitely not a fun season for most players when they got that nerf.
Yeah, but I mean, there's some things they can do to actually balance things out, and we'll get to that later in a different topic. But they also nerfed Tails before, I believe. He went from 885 to 873. I don't think that impacted him that much. Just only a small bit on the acceleration side. Let's see here. What else is there? But outside of that, those are usually the main outliers here that I believe are actually top tier right now. What do you guys think?
No, I completely agree with you on that. Just trying to figure out exactly what else to discuss as far as that whole thing goes, because of the newer seasons and all of the like introductions of like the newer characters and new metas that were announced in.
Yeah, I'm hoping that we are able to shake this up and balance it better, because if we get any more seasons like this, it's just gonna repeat until the end of time. So, aside from this, there's also another balancing aspect that I feel is not necessarily addressed as much, and that would be P level, our power level, which is individual to every person, and how many cards they have of each character. So, in case people don't know what power level is basically the level you have in the top left of the screen. And you start one, and you gain more by upgrading your characters. Now what happens is, there's a thing in the game called ring speed. This is affected by your power level, and it increases how fast you go with each ring.
Think about this like collecting coins in Mario Kart 7 or 8. That would be a perfect example of it. The more rings you collect, the closer you are to your max speed, which would be 100 rings.
Yeah. But the thing is, the higher your power level, the higher your ring speed is. And when you get around to, I believe, power level, it's around the 10 to 11 range that most people start to see that they're getting delayed a bit. But once you get up to 12, you're heavily delayed because you need a lot of rings and you need a lot of cards. Now,
before we continue on, I do want to kind of talk about the player level system, because there is a calculation of how your speed increases by level up. So for starters, when you start off in level 1, your base speed is at 1. Think about it as like in a decimal 1.0. Every level up that you get increases by 0.1. So as soon as you reach level 10, you're going to reach times 2 speed. As soon as you reach player level 15, that's when you hit 2.5 times your original base speed. And
So
it just
it works
increases.
like
Yeah, it increases by 0.1.
Yeah. But yeah, I feel like there's a disparity here in terms of progression, and I can understand that progression being stunted by SRs, which is understandable. But when trying to climb the leaderboard is actually stunted by other things like R's and power level, you start to see something where it's always skewed towards those who have actually spent a lot of time in the game. And I understand that. Like, you guys have invested a bunch of time just to get to that point. But it feels slightly stale in how it's managed, because consider this: you have your daily video rings. What's kind of loud, Satch? Just want to know. Well, anyway, like one of the hold on a second. Someone's knocking on my door. Okay. Anyway, back to what I was saying. The video rings, which you can get how many times a day? 5?
What's up?
The video rings that is plus.
Oh yeah,
300.
you get a total
times?
of 5. Yeah, you get a total of 5 times.
I mean, you get that 5 times a day, but then you also have missions on the side, which is just bonus
Every 8
rings and
hours.
cards. Then you have chests, which are usually gold chests, and if you're lucky, silver chests. But, like, when you get to those upper levels, it becomes rather difficult to obtain rings unless you put an obscene amount of runs in, which, I mean, if you really are serious about the game, you probably do, outside of daily chests. But my main issue is that when you have a lot of cards and you're ready to upgrade something that's like level 12, level 13, or 14, like, you know how the ring value increases each time you upgrade. It gets to a point where it becomes overwhelming and you don't really have enough rings to upgrade everything. And I feel like that's where it starts to stunt at.
I kind of want to disagree with you on that. Of course, I guess it does obviously depend on how many matches you play per day and per times, considering you get a total of 25 chests a day.
Yep.
But depending on how many times you play, depending on how many rings you get, and depending on all of the free chests that you do receive, and of course the bundles that come in that cost red rings that you do receive also for missions as well, I think this is just from my own personal playthrough, since I do play and I haven't really spent as much outside of in-app purchasing. But as far as the amount of rings that I collect through level upgrades, I've only ever had one instance where I haven't been able to upgrade a player level. But for the most part, most of my character levels and character upgrades have all been instant at the most as soon as I receive the cards. The main issue that would kind of stun most players who want to level up would definitely be the commonalities that you receive from the chests, like from cards that you receive, since a lot of what you get are usually commons, and the gold chests will give you very, very little amount of rare cards unless you get lucky and you get completely with rare cards and super rare cards. But for the most part, I wanted to say it has to do with a lot of the common cards that you receive and the amount that you don't receive for rares and super rares.
That's understandable. Yeah, I can see where you're coming from. But it's easy to level up commons, which is the truth, because, like, you get commons thrown at your face almost every time you get a battle chest for your daily chest.
Another thing that we do need to take into account for is watching ads for winning chests.
That doubles up.
That does also reflect on where your levels are going to be with the characters. And I know most players won't want to watch an ad for a common character because, one, it's a lot of cards that you have to get anyway. Now, I'm assuming everyone will watch an ad for super rares, maybe some rarely for a rare character, unless they like that character, of course. But just from my own personal personal playthrough, I usually tend to watch ads less when it can reflect on where your levels will be in the future, since you're getting a total of twice the amount of cards that you receive per ad.
Speaking of missions, I just feel like the rewards are a little on the low side here.
Yeah, the Star Runner idea was a little bit better than missions in my opinion, but you know.
But I understand where things stand with power level, in a sense. Thanks to Asterios' explanation.
Thank you.
So that aside, let's go ahead and let's do our tech of the week, shall we?
Ah,
Just give
interesting.
me. Now, if you guys will give me just a second to adjust the stream, I will actually. Oh, that's the wrong one.
Sure. Typho, do you have
that.
anything to add on
To what?
to the topic discussion on player levels and the amount of progression that a player receives per leveling?
Yeah, well, the experience is dispersed in a particular way, so you know you have to get a good few upgrades for your level ups, obviously. But yeah, player levels definitely do have like some form of effect, but like you can definitely tell a difference between a 0.1 difference or a 0.2 difference. But you know, it's progression, like you said. So yeah.
Yep. If you guys will give me a minute, I will bring up our tech of the week. Just be patient with me, okay?
Exciting.
So 1 second, and I will have this all set up for you. Let's see here. So, okay, give me just a second. So, this is our tech of the week right here. As you can see, Sonic is actually grabbing an item as he's taking a dash pad. Typho, if you would hold on, Discord screwed up again. Why does it do this? Okay, hello?
We're here.
I hate that Discord does this. It's a weird thing, but anyway.
Anyway, so what would you like to show us as far as tech of the week?
If you look at the stream,
I'm obviously seeing.
If you look at the stream, we have it's grabbing an item while taking a dash pad as well. Typho, if you'd explain.
Well, at the moment I sort of can't see the screen because I can't have the stream running at the same time. But I take it it's on Pyramid Valley, yeah, on that section before the conveyor belt.
Typho? Hello?
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it is.
Care to explain it?
Yeah. Well, it's sort of pretty difficult to explain how grabbing items as well as hitting dash pads at the same time works, but like it sort of depends on the way you switch lanes and what speed you're traveling at. Of course, it's something that's very difficult to master. Like, I mean, a lot of people still can't do it, but I don't know where exactly this video that's looping on the screen is at the moment, but I'm pretty sure it's looking pretty great right now. That Sonic looks class. Yeah. But you know, it's a technique that everyone uses majority of the time because you do need the dash pads, but you also need the items at the same time. It varies between your character's like hitbox, like depending on the size of the character, it can increase the difficulty of how tough or how easy it is to actually perform its attack, I suppose you can call it that. But yeah, It's different on many tracks. It just really varies between whether you're doing it on, say, Pyramid Valley or Celestial Skyway or any of those kind of tracks. But the only sort of advice I can sort of give about it is to just like tediously try it over and over, whether you miss the boost or not. You'll sort of like develop a kind of understanding of how it works. So, I mean, that's pretty much all I can say.
Just swipe a couple moments before you reach the red section of the dash pad.
Yeah.
This is also known as stacking boosts. You can also do this with the triple dash pads, which is, I want to say, more of an exploit rather than an actual tech, since this is something that can kind of increase your boost from a level 1 boost to a level 2 in just one boost, since you can actually just switch lanes and hit both of them. But that does apply with running into 2 dash pads as well, but you don't receive twice the amount of speed per boost. You still get one single boost, but you do reach both those boosts at the same time if you were to swipe.
Yeah, you can also get both 2 items in one go with the sliding tech we have here.
The easiest...
Go ahead.
Sorry, my bad. The easiest way, the easiest example we can give would definitely be in Dash Vegas, since the amount of lanes that there are, and the amount of items that are next to each other are quite frequent. You're able to actually just switch lanes immediately, and you can actually reach up to the 2 items at the same time. Same thing when it comes to hitting enemies and killing enemies. When you're jumping in, to take over 2 lanes per jump.
Roll. That was a stereo talk, and this is Ultima Strike talking right now. Anyway, yes. Yeah. Just wanted to get that out of the way for roll there. But yeah. It's a very good tech to have because it allows people to utilize more items. I am Ultima Strike, sister. Asteria.
Are you sure?
I'm sure.
I'm Asteria. Mm-hmm.
You sure about that?
That guy you just talked was Typho.
No, it's not.
Come on, man. Okay, anyway, that I hope everybody understood that tech. Are there any questions regarding it real fast before I take this off the stream? Because we have other topics to move on to.
I have no questions for this one since I already understand how this one works, but if anyone in chat does have any questions or anything that they want to kind of shout out, they're more than welcome to type in.
Yep. I'll give it a few minutes for responses before I take this off the stream.
I'd say that looks really nice on stream.
It takes a lot of practice, sister. There's only a certain amount of frames you can do it. It gets tight depending on your power level and your rings that you have currently. What's your question, Crazy? Can you explain that, Asteria?
No. The switch when hitting 2 dash pads at the same time, you'll still get the same output as running in 1 dash pad. There's really no use of getting it unless there's an item next to it, or if you're in a triple dash pad. If you're in a triple boost and you do that exact same technique as shown on the screen above, then of course you'll get twice the amount of boost in. However, if you do this with a regular dash pad, you won't get any increase in speed, or twice the amount of increase that you would get from running into 1 dash pad, but you will get it from a triple dash pad.
Yeah, it's the same multiplier, so.
Yep. Alright. So, I believe that would be the end of our Tech of the Week. I will be taking this off the stream now. So, let's go ahead and move on, shall we?
Sure.
Alright, so next up, we're going to start with the idea box.
Oh.
I know it looks like a jumble of stuff, but I'm sure there are some pretty good ideas in here somewhere. We just gotta look on the official Discord.
I can definitely point out a really good idea in the idea box.
What would that be?
Let me see. I had it I had it a while ago. I think it's
What number would that be?
Yeah, let me get it for you real quick.
Okay.
Number 782.
782. Let's take a look at that one. So
It's a really good idea.
let's 782. Okay. Come on, Typho.
Man, it's a pretty good idea if you
Come
ask
on, Tails doll. Really?
me. I didn't write it.
Come on, it's your suggestion. But for
It
real,
was?
yeah, it was.
Oh,
Come on, Typho. But really, I think that balance needs to be taken into account first before we start adding new characters, because we might disrupt the balance with new characters as well.
sure.
Let me look here. Now, let's.
I do want to add on about balancing, since you just brought it up now.
Go ahead.
But I really do want acceleration to kind of play a much more important role when playing the game, because yeah, of course we're still in the speed meta, and we kind of always will be at this point until acceleration kind of gets capitalized, since acceleration is the point of when you reach your maximum speed. And if you've noticed, a lot of the 10 speed characters will still outclass high acceleration runners, even from the very beginning, when you should be seeing the higher acceleration characters be ahead of the original amount of 10 speeders, and then of course they reach up and catch up to them.
That makes sense.
But in this case, you kind of don't notice it, because for anyone who's played the launch date of Sonic Forces Speed Battle when it first came out, when you would start running, you would start from going on a pad from walking to running. That's going from 0 to your maximum speed. In the later updates, you start off already running, and you're already getting into a countdown for your maximum speed. So your speed is already getting calculated in. The 10 speeders have already started from their initial vector point until they reach their maximum speed, whereas the accelerations have already reached that speed. Now, acceleration does work well when you're getting hit from a projectile. Of course, this does depend on strength too, with how long or how much resistance you have from your player level, since both those two things are key to kind of recoiling out of getting damaged. But of course, when you start from your minimum speed, acceleration does play a key important role. But I feel like it should be much more important in the beginning of a race, since the players are already running, so there's really no acceleration needed on that point, since everyone starts at the exact same position until the race actually starts.
Speaking of, on that topic, I believe there was an idea talking about something. Let me find it. Darn, where was it? I think it was an idea on, like, charge up dash or something. Let me find that. Which idea was that?
Would you know how recent it was?
Okay, I think I got it. It was number 809. This was about the spin dash race start. Instead of the match starting with everybody running, everybody is building up a spin dash. We'll have 3 seconds to tap the screen to become as fast as possible to build it up, and when time runs out, we start running.
Really, really quickly, because I just noticed that someone in chat did make a very interesting point, and how yes, it is a racing game and speed does come into play a lot. But if you're regarding, then I'm going to go back to acceleration, of course, because you have to see the science behind speed and how it starts. Without acceleration, if you have very, very low acceleration and high speed, you should be starting off really, really slow, and then over time reaching your maximum speed, unless of course you get a boost. Now, for someone who has high acceleration and low speed, they're already going to their maximum speed faster than the initial player with lower acceleration.
Like Charmin, for instance.
Yes, exactly. That's a perfect example that we can add in. Now, why that's more important than speed, it's because without acceleration, you can't exactly reach that top speed, which is why Sonic, for example, got that that nerf from his speed initially when he was originally at a much higher acceleration. Starts off slightly slower, but still reaches his maximum speed. Now with Cream, since Cream has a 9 acceleration already,
Ridiculous.
she's going to hit her maximum speed much faster than any of the other players that are marked in, since she also has a 10 in speed.
I also feel like strength needs some kind of factor in resistance.
It does.
Yeah.
It does have a really good factor, and it's great that I can actually explain this because I play a character that has maximum strength,
Mr. Big.
and it does come in handy, especially when you get hit by something, since the amount of delay that you receive from reaching your 0th speed to your maximum is very, very shortened because you have much higher resistance and you also have higher strength.
But from
So
what
it
I've
is-
heard, I thought that projectiles like Fireball actually do not take into account strength and only your power level resistance.
Yeah.
It's only when you run into certain obstacles, where strength does come in handy.
I think
And come to power.
like it would make a lot more sense if strength also affected item resistance to an extent.
Oh, I agree with you. That would definitely work out.
Because otherwise, people aren't going to run into obstacles unless they're forced to. Since literally, strength doesn't really have a part in item resistance. Correct?
Yeah. Like an item will always hit you no matter what. Like in terms of strength, like whether you have 10 strength or like in Sonic's case 3 strength, you're gonna get hit pretty hard by it, either a tornado or an E-mine. So
Yeah.
definitely a good idea to like make strength like a factor in that, because
Right.
it'd be pretty. It would definitely change up like how those traps actually have effects on particular characters. So
By the way, back to the idea box.
yeah.
Number 809. I feel like this is a great idea to help with the acceleration aspect.
Yeah.
But
What?
on the other side, it might not mean a lot in terms of acceleration because you're doing a spin dash.
It also varies on the person that's tapping the screen.
Right.
You know.
And that, like,
No finger.
I'm kind of iffy on this, but it seems like an okay idea for the most part if there were a max charge limit.
Yeah.
If we ever went this way. Because otherwise people would be abusing auto tappers.
Yep. Pretty much.
But, yeah. So, next idea topic. Number 816. Damage dealing boosts should have a penalty for hitting people in order to discourage users from going out of their way to deliberately hit someone just because they feel like it. The penalty would be about a quarter of the boost total duration time gets cut, forcing users to make the choice of either going after people or avoiding others to use the boost to actually catch up to first place beforehand. Now this, I'm iffy about. I'm on the fence because there's one way where we have instances like Fire Boost that can actually destroy somebody since it hits like an E-mine right now. And it goes very fast. But on the other hand, there are some boosts like Illusion Boost where I don't feel like this is proper. It's a weird place to strike a balance at.
So, if we're gonna be talking about boosts, I kind of want to disagree
by the
with.
way.
I kind of want to disagree with the amount of like deceleration that you receive from hitting into another player. I don't know if that'll discourage any other players from hitting it. I just think that boosts overall should kind of get a balance on the actual hit boxes that are marked in per boost. Since most players, like for example, back then when Big recently got his umbrella boost in, you can hit players that are running ahead of you. For example, say there's a Blaze running in with a fire boost and they are from behind you and you're running in front of them with an umbrella boost. You're not going to get hit by them when they're running after you. They're going to get hit by you because the umbrella boost hitbox is way too large. yeah, it's a bit disjointed from behind, but that applies for every other boost too. Now, a lot of this confirmed completely because there have been points where I've seen the opposite, but more frequently does it happen with a player in front of you that's boosting versus a player behind you, and it's usually always a player in front that's in their that gets the favor over the other boost, and it's one of those kind of things that should kind of at least be taken note of, or at least the hitbox should be positioned slightly forwards rather than backwards. It is a bit of an issue that most players will run into, especially Sonics or Shadows that run into that.
Yeah, those Shadows.
So Sonic and Shadow don't necessarily have a damaging hitbox.
Yeah, they don't.
It's usually all the other characters that don't have power sneakers that have that, and it creates a bit of an issue, because I've experienced it as well, where I've gotten hit by the back hitbox of Blaze's fire boost, and it just destroys you.
Ultimate, what about idea 824?
824. Let's take a look at that. Number 824.
It's by a man called Faker.
You sure I didn't pick that name? Okay, so 824. Remove the Prestige tab and make it a Records tab. As Prestige is useless, Records can be used to see the top 200 highest trophies ever gone starting from Season 1. So, he puts an example here saying Sachi reached 7,001 trophies in Season 3.
He did?
Yeah, he reached 7,000 trophies. He actually did. Look at the leaderboard and you'll see.
I do think there should be a tweak in prestige points, but
Yeah.
I would prefer it be used as a form of currency rather than a form of merits.
Speaking of which, I actually made an idea about that, and that was number 826.
Okay.
And I'm speaking from the words I put in there directly. I know this may have been said before, but there needs to be used prestige. Right now, it's simply a value for the leaderboard that will accumulate over time. However, what I think would be best for a community is that prestige should be used for valuables such as gold rings to help further people along in progression.
Or cards.
Yeah, cards. Like, currently in progression, you're limited with how many rings you can get outside of race frequency, and the same goes for cards as well. At the least,
Another thing,
go ahead.
or not specifically just cards, because people would definitely abuse that system, getting their favorite characters and focusing less on other characters. But I think prestige points should be used for chests. Like, say you want to get an emerald chest, it'll cost like, I don't know, 5,000 prestige points or something along the lines of that, just to make things a bit easier for them.
Right, but we also have, when you're starting to count prestige points, you have to take into account the value in the chests as well as the amount of gold rings, because they have to be balanced at a certain point where it's reasonable but not out of range per se. Because 5,000 prestige,
See what you're saying? Mm-hmm.
5,000 prestige points is saying you go through 5 seasons reaching tier 9. It's very hard to hit tier 10 sometimes because of the power level disparity we have right now.
Oh no, I was just using that as an example, just saying, assuming that the developers wouldn't be too lenient on the amount of costs that they would receive per chest. But I mean, it could go as low as like maybe 2,000. That would seem reasonable for an emerald chest.
Right.
Or they should just be used as a form of currency for chests or for other valuables or for bundles even if so, if there are free-to-play players.
Yeah, it helped the free-to-play side of it more, because like a lot of the pay-to-play tends to, like, they get more chests and more cards, which I understand, but it basically forces their progression way forward to the point where they can get to T9 and T10 a lot easier than, say, like myself, who's actually only P level 12 right now. And I understand, like, part of it does come from skill and what you can do on track along with your character, but there's just a lot of differences and a lot of variables to take into account.
Just dodge. That's really all you got to do in the game. If I want to put things bluntly, focusing on dodging and knowing when and where to be in a certain position, it's really your best bet. Now, things that are kind of difficult are, for example, getting hit by traps when you're in corkscrews or when you're in spots that prevent you from jumping over them. Now, that point is based entirely on knowing your player behind you and hoping that you're not in 6 or 7 lanes and getting hit by an E-mine.
Yeah, they can be a little annoying on the corkscrews, but it just varies on how you use your items for your character and how you play. You'll get that over time the more you play. Also, crazy. I don't believe they need to nerf Jet's Bashoshin too much further. I'd say, like, fix a trail.
No, there's one thing that I would actually prefer to change, and most people will agree with me on this, and most players who like Jet won't, but it would be kind of, so you know how Blaze the Cat's Fire Whirl has only one projectile, right? And it upgrades damage based on the amount of levels that you receive. I don't believe that it's fair for a level 12 Jet to receive 3 Bashosins, or having a chance of receiving 3 of them.
Oh, good point.
I do believe that they should only have 1 projectile for that, and its damage should vary either on the trail or at the base of the projectile. There should be no reason to why any character should be able to cover up a total of 3 lanes with a projectile that strong. It should only be limited to 1, since Fire World doesn't get 3 of them.
I can agree with that, because I had completely forgot about that, because I haven't run to Jet Hell again. 3 jets, 1 track.
Yeah.
It's not fun.
I honestly don't mind the damage as it is right now. I think the damage is decent. It's slightly more stronger than a tornado, but I do believe that it should just be limited by how many you should receive. You should only be receiving 1, and the damage output and even the hitbox itself doesn't change if there's only that nerf.
Yeah.
Just because, and
it makes a lot of sense to fix it that way. But
yeah, that would definitely cure a lot of problems anyway.
Yeah, we wouldn't have the whole problem with jet spamming anymore, compared to chaos spamming ice wave.
Wait till you see like a race with 4 jets. That's something that you don't want to witness it.
You don't want to see a race with 4 jets. It feels like cancer.
It's pretty bad, and a particular Weavile will definitely know what I mean. It was pretty bad. But what were you saying about Chaos though?
I mean, Chaos can spam his Ice Wave pretty frequently on some tracks, but not as much as Bashoshin.
Yeah, I'd say the Bashoshin is worse than an Ice Wave.
Just imagine racing in Redgate Bay, and you're on the left side where those 2 rails are, and you have a jet right in front of you who gets 2 Bashosins per projectile, and that's the most common amount that you can receive, since the first upgrade is only level 4, I think, or level.
Yeah.
So it's it wouldn't be too fair.
Yeah. So we got time for one more idea in the idea box, I believe.
Sure, go for it.
So let's take a look and see if we can find a good one. I'm only looking through the SFSB Discord, but if they're 831, what are you talking about? Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, so number 831. This was submitted by Mr. Oof. Synergy Weavile. So
Oof.
He's been thinking.
You'd love to see it.
He's been thinking that we should have in-game achievements.
Yeah, that would be a good idea.
There already are in-game achievements through Game Center, but they're
but
just
I think he's talking more about. I think he's talking more about like actual achievements in game that give you rewards.
That would be nice, actually. I would agree, but then that would kind of defeat the purpose of missions,
It would.
since those kind of are more of a that would rather be used as a substitute over missions.
Yeah.
But the achievement list does sound nice, but I would really only see it for use of merits rather than actually getting rewards, since there's missions.
Yeah, but the achievements that like vary monthly is a pretty good idea because it would also motivate a lot more players to like try and actually obtain them so they get better rewards. And like if that refreshed monthly, it would definitely like help for progression for a lot of players.
If players want better rewards, then I do believe that as every season goes by, there needs to be something new. There needs to be some sort of gimmick per season, and there should definitely be an increase in the amount of not just the amount of cards that you receive, but the quality of cards that you receive per chest.
Yeah.
It seems too low for the fact that you're getting less than your worth of an emerald chest, but slightly more rare cards and super rare cards from an
There's
emerald
also
chest.
that's the same problem with gold chests because they're too similar to silver chests in the mayor, aside from having a guaranteed rare. Like
I can't tell you how many times I've gotten 2 rare cards out of the remaining that I received that are common.
I mean,
and of course,
it's pretty bad.
I mean, platinum chests, they're actually balanced pretty well. Same goes for emerald. But it's just the gold chests need something more because they feel like they should be. That feels like something I get out of a silver chest, even if it's like.
And gold chest should not be 8 hours to unlock. I don't think this should be. I really seriously feel like there should be an ad system for it, and I know most people hate ads. Since I know most players or some players won't even use an ad for a silver chest, but I do think that maybe watching a certain amount of ads to open a gold chest would be nice, since you don't want to wait 8 hours for a gold chest, or you don't want to spend 80 red coins over 80 red rings, I should say. Excuse me.
This is
over
Mario Kart.
Unlocking
Okay, but yeah, I get what you're saying. Like if they add ads to gold chests, we're gonna see you're gonna see a higher rate of progression than normal.
Yeah.
True. Or how about instead of increasing the amount of ads or even giving ads, just increase the amount of rare cards that are guaranteed, because you're only guaranteed 1, which kind of sucks.
I'd say guaranteed 10.
No, that'd be pretty. 25. 25 would be way better.
That makes sense.
That's just my opinion, though.
I suppose,
I mean, we already get a ton of commons anyway, so I guess 25 makes sense.
Yeah, and honestly, there are way too many people who have already reached level 16 common characters. I'm sure there are tons of other players who have like over 10,000, 12,000, 15,000 common cards for specific characters, and I'm sure it's infuriating when you receive rewards from it and they're just nothing but common
But look
cards.
at the huge difference between plat and gold. Gold, 1,800, 2,000 rings, 150 cards, guaranteed 1 rare. Plat chest, 7,500 to 8,500 rings and 700 cards, guaranteed 6 rare, 3 super rare.
Yeah,
that's a big disparity.
That's a massive difference. Yeah, I agree.
So like, either increase the gold chests, maybe just the rewards to make it equal 8 hours.
Yeah.
That would make more sense.
It's a pretty long. It's a pretty long wait for a very little reward, unless you get really lucky and you get that 100 rare chest.
Yeah,
it's stupid.
I mean, if the game wants to be even more nice or more lenient, add maybe 1 guaranteed super rare. Well, no, actually,
possibly,
platinum. The super rares, maybe.
I keep the guaranteed super rares and plat chests and up.
Yeah, I would recommend it, but I do think there should be an increase in the amount of rare cards that are guaranteed for it. There's no reason there should only be 1 that's guaranteed.
Increase guaranteed amount in plat and emerald, because we're looking at 24 and 12 for 999 cards.
Because think about it this way, a lot of new players, they obviously, especially new players who want to reach that top of the leaderboard, you want new players to receive much more rewards in the beginning, which will keep them playing, and of course kind of reduce those amount of rewards since you've received so many cards from the beginning, which would make it I think it's a good choice. And the whole recruit chest thing, that was an amazing thing. Like, you get 50 super rares per recruit chest, and the last recruit chest that you receive is 100 super rare cards. Like that's unbelievably amazing.
I've
that
never
will definitely
gotten
give people a boost on it.
I've never gotten the recruit chest.
Yeah.
Honestly.
It's 50. Every chest is 50 super rares except for the last one, which is 100. But that's amazing.
That's
I will definitely
ridiculous
do that.
with the recruit system, but I feel like the game's aged a little bit since we're in season 4 now, and the recruit system might not be working as great per person.
True.
Yeah.
So maybe replace that with a starter mission, so that the people who are actually starting can catch up.
Yeah.
Because look at the amount of characters we have now. We have, what, 20 characters?
Indeed.
That's a lot of cards to catch up on. So
Yeah.
it makes sense to have, like you could do, at most, I want to say 15 starter missions. And that
I
could
guess
be,
that can work.
that could be, like, I'll leave it up to the devs to decide the number of
Or
starter missions.
you know what I think would be better, and this is gonna suck for all the higher level players,
Go ahead.
but give a reward system for leveling up your player level. Now I know there are bundles that you'll be able to receive after upgrading in tiers. Of course, you have to pay for them, but I really think there should be some sort of reward for leveling up, or some reward for increasing your rank in a tier, instead of being encouraged to buy a platinum chest or an emerald chest for $20 when you reach tier 7. I
That
think
makes sense.
that was a bit shallow. I really think that those rewards should be free. I really feel like once you reach tier 7, you get an emerald chest for free that you can unlock. I do believe that you can get a platinum chest for reaching tier 6, and so on for tier 5, and I really think it would be much more nicer, or get reward specific chests. Like it could be like the welcome chest that you receive, something similar to that, except it increases based on you increasing your tier or increasing your level, or your player level.
And that again goes into the lower level progression before you hit level 10, and that helps a lot because you already have all these cards and these rings to spin, and you won't be held back.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as for increasing tiers from T8 to T10 on, I think maybe when they reset, they could give red rings for tier 9 maybe, in tier 10.
Yeah, perhaps. It would be very helpful.
That would be great, actually.
Because I think red rings are more valuable to the higher tier players than the lower tier players in most cases, because they are looking for SRs and whatnot.
Yeah. So you're totally right. I agree. Then,
well, I mean,
how about this? So increasing your player level gives you red rings. Increasing your tier gives you chests. That would be perfect.
Until you get to tier 8.
Yeah, I agree.
Once you, you'll get your last chest when you first get into tier 8. But after tier 8, you get red rings.
Yeah, or maybe even get like a milestone system. Every 1,000 trophies you receive, you get a special milestone chest, and those can still be taken account for seasons, since you're still reaching over 1,000. Yeah.
So yeah, that makes a ton of sense.
Yeah.
How we can fix progression.
Yeah, like that idea about the achievements could be implemented alongside that really well.
That's why I was just saying the monthly milestones. Because we get an update every month, correct?
Indeed, we do.
So yeah, you'd have until the end of the month to reach these milestones, and it helps further you along. It gives people something to strive for.
Yeah, because I know a lot of people would stop playing when they hit tier 10. So having the achievements or milestones there to hit as well would actually make them engage more as well. So it's a win-win for both parties, really. So.
Anyway. We've been running for an hour and 9 minutes now. And
not bad.
I think that we have gone through most of our stuff that we were going to talk about today. So...
pretty good.
Right. So, end statements. What do you guys got? For what we got done so far.
Just use Zazz, give him a go. Maybe you might like him.
Just use
That could work.
Zazz.
Know your projectile placements, know where you're going to be going into a lane, take the least expected lane that you originally go for, try experimenting in different spots, because turns out the other spots that you usually don't go to could be the higher, you'll probably get a higher reward factor in on a race. So, just learn
Yeah.
that. And
And,
that's something that I'll definitely discuss towards our next live stream on it, since there is a specific character that is definitely keyed towards that specific positioning with placements and lanes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out to all the speed battle players in here as well, besides Cream Queen. But you know, shout out to the rest of them.
Did you shaft Mill there for a second?
Who's Mill?
From the
Oh
class?
yeah.
Come on. Anyway. Okay. Anyway, as for me, starting this was technically an experiment on my part because I felt like we were missing something that was needed for this community. Because I mean, we have content on YouTube, but we haven't necessarily had any real live streams for quite a while. Is that correct?
Well, yeah, I agree. Most of
Yeah.
it are videos that you can hit up on Art Phoenix if you want to watch him
You can
play.
even look at Genesis,
Sure.
where he goes on about some of the more key components.
Hello,
Yeah.
everybody. Welcome to Genesis 7. Ah,
Yeah.
yes.
Everybody remembers that guy. He's posting
Yep.
videos quite a lot lately, so make sure to check him out later. That aside, we will decide on a date next week, and I will make sure that we get that posted as soon as we can. Any feedback that you guys have regarding the Chao News Network is very appreciated. What we can improve, as well as what we can add in the future. So, if you guys have anything else, please speak it in the SFSB Discord or ping me, and I'll take a look at it.
Sure.
Everything aside, thanks for tuning in to Chao News Network, and we will be here with you next week, and Asterio
Yeah.
should have something ready, correct?
Yeah.
Potentially.
I've been doing a lot of research on a specific item, and I would definitely like to discuss it to the team.
Something
Awesome.
big.
Very.
It's definitely
Nice.
something big. So, I'll see everybody later, and have a good night.